Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. There are lies, and then there's the epic and unprecedented whopper Karoline Leavitt just delivered on Fox News.
And nobody knows what it means to accomplish peace through strength better than President Trump. He is the one who came up with that motto.
Donald Trump came up with the motto, peace through strength. Karoline, this one is not even close. If you had bothered to take a history class or, say, try Google, you would have seen that peace through strength has been used or quoted by political leaders as far back as Roman Emperor Hadrian 2,000 years ago. More recently, Peace Through Strength was the title of a book written in 1952 by a former advisor to Franklin Roosevelt. Republican presidential nominee Barry Goldwater spoke of peace through strength in his 1964 presidential campaign. Ronald Reagan made it a theme throughout his presidency, starting with his 1980 campaign.
Peace is made by the fact of strength.
We cannot shirk our responsibility as the leader of the free world because we're the only one that can do it. And therefore, the burden of maintaining the peace falls on us. And to maintain that peace requires strength.
Clearly, a basic knowledge of history or facts is not one of Karoline Leavitt's strengths. And on top of her absurdities this day on Fox News, the Trump press secretary walked up to other reporters at the White House and delivered this.
The Iranian regime refuses to give up their nuclear program or engage in talks. We just took out their nuclear program on Saturday night, as you all know.
Actually, we don't all know that because the Trump administration hasn't offered any photographs, reconnaissance images, or proof. All we have is Donald Trump's claim soon after the U.S. attack.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Even the next morning, the Pentagon offered no bomb damage assessment evidence. And now, as the New York Times reports, officials can see they don't know the fate of Iran's uranium stockpile. At the Fordo uranium enrichment plant built under a mountain, satellite images show damage and that the U.S. bunker-busting bombs, quote, punched deep holes in the rock. The Israeli military's initial analysis concluded that the site, the target of American and Israeli military planners for more than 26 years, sustained serious damage from the strike but had not been completely destroyed. But there was also evidence, according to two Israeli officials with knowledge of the intelligence, that Iran had moved equipment and uranium from the site in recent days. And there was growing evidence that the Iranians, attuned to Mr. Trump's repeated threats to take military action, had removed 400 kilograms, or roughly 880 pounds of uranium enriched to 60% purity. That is just below the 90% that is usually used in nuclear weapons. By all accounts, the coordination of the U.S. warplanes and refueling tankers involved was impressive. Even Steve Bannon is saying that, and he urged President Trump not to attack Iran.
The raid itself was magnificent. It showed you the coordination, the high technology. Nobody on earth, I'm sure the Russians and the Chinese Communist Party, got their number 2 pencils out and were writing down a lot of, oh my God, these brothers can move, and they can move fast, and they can move hard, and they can bring the heat.
But Bannon said the lack of military reconnaissance imagery now is troubling.
As you know, we can pick out a license plate on an Audi in downtown Tehran. Why do I have no grainy photographs? And at least take the initiative that we're taking the initiative. This happened. Understanding a bomb damage assessment is 30 days away. Sam Faddis.
Well, first of all, Steve, I agree with you. Obviously, all credit to the men and women who pulled this off. That's never been our issue, right? The competence of our people. Why didn't they give us an assessment? Honestly, I don't think they have any idea what we just blew up at Fordow.
Have Iran's enrichment facilities been completely and totally obliterated, as Donald Trump claimed? Has the entire nuclear program been taken out, as Karoline Leavitt asserts? It's actually not clear. In the meantime, Iran did warn the Trump administration before the attack that there would be some form of retaliation, and that it could include terrorism against Americans in the United States.
This happened during the G7 in Canada, an intermediary passing a message from Iran directly to President Trump, warning that if he were to decide for the U.S. military to take action in Iran, that Iran could activate these sleeper cells in the United States and unleash some sort of terrorism here domestically.
Former CIA Director John Brennan says the potential that Iran attacks the U.S. homeland is one of his biggest concerns.
Iran has tremendous capability, if they choose to exercise it, in terms of terrorism. They're the leading state sponsor of terrorism, and they do have assets and sources basically in Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia, and so on. And whether or not they have sources here in the United States or assets that could be used to carry out these attacks, I think is a question. And I know the FBI, DHS, and state and local officials now are looking very closely at any individuals who may be affiliated with the Iranian regime.
In addition to tracking people who may be associated with the Iranian regime, the Trump administration, through the Department of Homeland Security, just issued this security bulletin. The duration of the threat to the United States is from June 22nd to September 22nd, or the entire summer. Iran has already begun trying to attack U.S. bases in the Middle East, including in Qatar.
U.S. official has confirmed that the Al Udeid U.S.-run airbase in Qatar was targeted by both short and long-range missiles that originated from Iran. There were no reports of any casualties, no deaths from that attack. And just in the last few moments, the Qatar's Interior Ministry says that the security situation now is stable and that there is no cause for concerns.
There are several reports that Donald Trump's national security team briefed him on the risks and rewards of striking Iran. And amidst all of those reports, there are now some remarkable insights about the president's possible motivation from a Trump family member. His niece, Mary Trump, insists Trump was largely driven by his ongoing anger at a derogatory nickname. In her Substack, Worst Person at the Worst Time, Mary Trump writes, Donald is still no doubt stinging from the acronym recently coined to mock his inability to follow through on anything, taco. Trump always chickens out. In the wake of the Israeli strikes against Iran, Donald spent a few days saber-rattling, only to back off, chicken out, if you will, in the wake of searing criticism by some of the most reliable sycophantic members of his cult, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, Alex Jones, and Steve Bannon. He announced at a bizarre press conference that his decision to address the ostensibly urgent crisis regarding Iran would be put off for 2 weeks. Only 2 days later, he ordered the attack on Iran. His allies would have us believe that Donald, a brilliant strategist, was faking us out. Sure. An infinitely more plausible explanation is that on the one hand, he hates being challenged or contradicted, especially from those who always fall in line. Therefore, he felt the need to double down on his threats by carrying them out. Did Donald Trump really attack Iran because he didn't like the nickname Taco and didn't want to be accused again of chickening out? With Donald Trump, anything is possible. Anything is also possible when it comes to his White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. The quote, peace through strength, has been around for 2,000 years, but Leavitt insists it was created by Donald Trump. Well, don't be surprised if Leavitt now claims that Trump coined the term, let there be light, that he invented the Cobb salad, and that Trump created pizza. As one person wrote on social media, Leavitt is either stupid, evil, ambitious, programmed, or vapid, or all of it. Her family should be ashamed. But of course, the only person who seems to matter to Karoline Leavitt is Donald Trump. And Trump's penchant for making something up is even more pronounced and absurd. And now, Donald Trump is a wartime president. Good grief. By the way, the Trump family's newest scam, at least the Trump sons, their scam is being publicly destroyed.
Today we're here to introduce Trump Mobile. We've partnered with some of the greatest people in the industry to make sure that real Americans can get true value from their mobile carriers. With Trump Mobile, we're going to be introducing an entire package of products.
So that unlimited data, like everyone else's unlimited data, is only 20 gigabytes of unlimited data, and then they throttle your speeds. If you go and pay full freight from Visible or Cricket or Metro, which are the prepaid carriers from the big three, you're going to be paying $35 a month for more data before it gets throttled.
Okay. Incredibly excited. You can build these phones in the United States. Our customer service is in the United States. It's in St. Louis, Missouri. We can add more functionality. We can do it cheaper. We can do it better. And eventually all the phones can be built in the United States of America.
Eventually all the phones can be built in the United States. Eventually.
I don't think they're going to sell a phone that has anything to do with the United States on any kind of timeline that makes sense. I think they are assuming people will pay money for a Trump-branded service and bring their own phones because people have phones now. And then what they are going to sell is the T1 Model 8002, which is what they will tell you it's called if you call them, is undoubtedly a rebranded Chinese Android phone. That is the only way you can get to $499 with the specs that they're offering. You cannot stand up the capital expenditure to build that phone in the United States and then sell it at those specs for $499. Those specs match some flagship Android phone specs, right? You're competing with the margins of a Samsung at those specs. And to do that, you need existing manufacturing, and you cannot just like horsepower your way through the CapEx needed to bring that manufacturing. And that's just math. Like, that's aside from however you might feel about Trump. The reality is it costs a lot of money to stand up a network, so they haven't done that. They're rebranding what is almost certainly T-Mobile's network. And it costs a lot of money to start manufacturing phones. And there's no way they're going to do that at $499.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from San Easter wrote, "The gold phone is like the red hat. It helps identify idiots so you can avoid them." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Trump Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt getting slammed over her most ridiculous lie yet. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.